Hey everybody. I'll start this one off with a little bit of a personal update, couple personal things. I did get to go visit my dad in the hospital yesterday. Um, he looked better than I expected, honestly, from what I heard about his symptoms. I was happy for that. Got him on the prayer list with the church. I did just get a text just a little while ago, actually, that they are releasing him today to go home. But they're still trying to figure out what's going on. So, keeping him in my thoughts. Um, I myself am feeling better. I know the other day I was saying I've been feeling sick. I had a fever. It broke. This morning, that's why I kind of look a little bummy today because I felt energetic this morning and I went ahead and got caught up on things that I let slack over the couple days while I wasn't feeling good. Um, did a lot of house chores today, but I'm very happy with myself over that. And that brings me to the other personal update. For a while I was thinking people were just being nice, considering everything I've been going through lately. Because I've been hearing a lot lately from different people, how much healthier I'm looking, how they can tell, I'm losing weight, I'm doing better with myself. And I mean, not that I think they were lying. I mean, obviously I'm making differences to do better, but I thought they were just giving me that, little nudge to say keep with it. Yeah, no, apparently they're serious. Where the temperatures, been getting cooler in the mornings and the evenings. This morning I went to go put on, some lounge pants, and I used to wear them all the time. I had to pull out two different pair. Both fell off almost immediately before I had to go back to the gym shorts that I know fit because they have the elastic. But yeah, so it was a pleasant surprise to see the weight loss journey paying off. Now it's kind of irrefutable, so I'm very happy with myself about that. And that kind of leads me to today's topic. I've been thinking about it, and I'm going to give you guys the secret, right? The secret to life, the secret to surviving anything thrown at you, the secret to achieving your dreams, the secret to finding your purpose, the secret to your growth. You ready? It's all the same secret. Make the choice and stick to it. That simple. I want my life to change this way. This is how I'm going to attempt to trigger that change. And then you stick with it. But that requires integrity, discipline, things that are dying out in modern society, unfortunately. But you can really make your life do anything you want it to. You really can. That is not just, blowing smoke. That's not being cliche. It is the absolute truth. You can do anything you want with your life. But you got to make the right choices to make it happen. And that's kind of what we do here, You grow, you develop, you learn to understand yourself. And then you can make the better choices because you'll know where you've been making mistakes in the past. And it's one of those things, it sounds simple, and it really is that simple. The hard part is the people that struggle with the discipline. But yeah, once you make the conscious choice, that's why I say, I warn people all the time, you cannot change others. In general, people only change when they see a need to. And I can verify that because I mean, that's how it worked with me. I got tired of living my life, getting the same results over and over and over again. And it's ironic because once I decided to change, I dropped off a lot of people. I kind of outgrew them. But it changed everything. I'm definitely a lot more satisfied in my life now. I feel my purpose. I'm finally around the right people that nurture me, that inspire me to grow. And it makes a world of difference. Too many people don't take life seriously. And I think it's kind of a catch-22. Oh, excuse me. In order to enjoy life, right, to really enjoy it, you can't take it seriously. But in order to achieve your purpose, you have to take it seriously. And the trick is to find the balance in between. Because you can flip it. I say all the time, I have a very healthy inner child. I just know when is the right time to, let it out to play. There's nothing wrong with keeping a healthy inner child. A lot of people tell you have to grow up. Bullshit. No. That inner child, that's your innocence. That's where, your love springs from. Notice people that put away, childish things, how dead set serious they are on everything. You know how much you rob yourself of? That's your curiosity. That's your wonder. That comes from your inner child. And that explains a lot about why people are afraid to question things these days. Because they have no curiosity because their inner child has been, done away with. The great thing is, though, even when you do away with them, you can always bring them back. It's one of the great things. It's one of the lessons. That's why we should be reading our Bibles. There's resurrection. We can do it. Well, we can't, but we can go to the one who can. And it takes a conscious effort. Like I was saying the other day, there's rules. God's not just going to say, "Oh, I like this one. Let's make his life better." No, you have to turn to him. You have to ask for his help. He can't step in until you ask him to, until you welcome him into your life. And that's, point blank, that's the whole thing. Transformation. You have to want it to change. And I mean really want it. I mean genuinely, like, not, like you hear the joke all the time about, busiest time for gym memberships is January because everybody makes those New Year's resolutions. But by, February, half of them don't show up anymore, But that's the problem is a majority of people are like that. They're like, oh, yeah, I want to make a change. But then it's like, oh, man, I got to put that much effort into changing? Nah, never mind. I don't want to do that. And then they stay stagnant and they don't change. And it's a shame. Growth is necessary. Excuse me. And I slept pretty good today. I took a nap earlier trying to sleep off where I was getting over being sick. And it worked. I moved it. I probably did a little more this morning than I should have, but I didn't overly overdo it. But yeah. I'm still fighting whatever it is. I'm starting to think it was some kind of infection that I'm fighting off. Anyway, back to the important topic at hand. You really have to go inside and make the decision for yourself that you want something different. And then you have to discipline yourself to put in the effort to make it different. And here's a tip. Some people say, oh, well, I can't change. I don't like my height. I don't like, this feature of how I look. I don't like that feature. Guess what? You can still change it. You know how? You don't change the thing you're focusing on. You change how you feel about it. There is absolutely nothing on this planet that you cannot change by making a conscious decision for it to change. You just got to know how to apply to make it change. And again, that requires seeing it, for the truth, for what it really is. You have to be in reality. You have to be honest with yourself. You cannot change something until you know the details about it. You cannot, reshape things the way you need them until you know the original shape that you're modifying. You have to be intimate. You have to be familiar. You have to be curious. You have to study things. I have successfully changed quite a bit in my life. And again, I finally learned, it took me a while, because again, I'm hard-headed, but everything I've gotten through, and I continue to go through, and each time it's hard, but it gets easier and easier. You know why? Because I know I can do it. Because every time I make the choice, even when I was in the worst part of depression, even if I couldn't make myself get up and get out of bed that day, my one rule was don't give up. You're not allowed to give up. And that was the choice I disciplined myself to. And that part wasn't easy. There were days I had to fight that one. I had to really fight for that. But that's really what it's the discipline that matters. It's the you telling yourself that this is the line and I refuse to cross it. Again, going back to what I was talking about the other day, principles. This all factors in together. It all works hand in hand. And it's funny, all the traits that they're trying to rip out of humanity are the things that would help us improve, that would help make this world better. And it's a shame, because a lot of people accept it that way, and they don't have to. And again, it's just as simple as making the choice of, hey, I don't like the way this is going, I want to see something different. And then you just make it happen. There's always a way. As long as you have the will, that's why there's the saying, where there's a will, there's a way. Of course, where there's a will, there's vultures too, but that's something else. Yeah. And if you're not sure, talk to people. Find a professional. Again, if you want to do the whole weight loss thing, talk to a personal trainer, talk to a nutritionist. There's a whole list of people involved in that field that could give you some kind of tip or advice. And again, not everything is going to work for everybody. That's why you got to look around. Don't get discouraged if it doesn't work for you the first time you try it. Because remember, that's why they call it practicing medicine. One man's cure could kill another. Like, that's, very serious. Like, again, that's why some people have allergies to certain medications, certain reactions. We're all a little bit different from each other. Even though we have the same physiology. So you have to understand that. What worked for some people is not going to be what works for you. But that doesn't mean get discouraged and you can't make the same change they made. It just means you can't do it the way they did it. That's it. Find an alternative plan. Too many people, again, People are afraid of failure. So if they don't succeed the first time, they're like, screw this, I don't need it, and walk away from it. Because again, they're afraid of failure. Quit that. Quit giving up on yourself, because that's what you're doing. And again, that's the rule, is you can do anything at all, or not do anything, but you can't give up. And that's what you're doing when you refuse to change, is you are giving up on yourself. Quit that. It's not good for you. It's not good for the people around you. Do better by yourself, because nobody else will. You know, that's a lesson that was definitely beat into me this year. You know, I thought I understood, friendship, relationships. I thought I did. I learned better this year. And if you cannot expect the people in your life, no matter the ranking you give them, no matter what position they hold, you cannot expect anybody else to enrich your life or make it better. It is up to you. And again, it all starts with a choice. I choose for it to change. I choose to be better. And again, that falls on intentionality. Once you make that choice, then you stick to it. Think about the choices you make. Is this going to get me closer to my goal? If the answer is no, then I don't need to do it. I don't need to deal with it. It's okay to take a break to rest and recover. Some things are hard. Some things, you have to give yourself, for your own health, you have to give yourself a break, and that's fine. Another thing that people beat themselves up over is, gotta grind, gotta constantly be moving, gotta constantly be thinking about how to get that bag. Screw that. Like, serious, is it really worth it? No. Let's face it, by the time any of us make any kind of money now, money will be worthless at this point. Like, we all see it coming. Even if we put the blinders on and refuse to acknowledge it, we all see it coming. That's one thing I firmly believe. Even if people won't admit it to themselves, deep down they all know. They sense it in some way, shape, or form. But again, too many people are afraid of what that means if they acknowledge it. Because that means they have to do something. That means they have to make a choice. And then they have to follow along that choice. You see where I'm going with this? This is the problem in the world today. And the solution is really that simple. It really is. Make the choice, stick to it. Make it happen. Learn, grow. So that's my food for thought for today. That's something I want everybody to think about and focus on. Decide what needs to change. Decide how you want to change it. And execute it. Do what it takes. Be intentional. Make the right choices to back up that decision. Be firm. If you say, here's the line and it's not being crossed, don't cross it, even if it leads to your death. And I am absolutely serious about that. That is one thing that humanity has definitely lost. It's funny because people are destroying themselves for pleasure that's fleeting, that isn't even worth it, but they won't put themselves on the line to make genuine, like real big difference, to make change. How many times have I said it, looking at how people drive. Just look how people drive nowadays. Our self-preservation instincts have been, bled out of us. Again, it's that grind mentality, that time is money. No, money is time. That's time from your life that you are giving away at bargain basement discount prices for what? What's the return? Is it worth it? And again, the amount of people that you say that and they automatically think, oh, well, you got to work. Yes, you do. Life requires effort. That's not what I'm saying. But that shows, again, how much people are so supportive of the system, they cannot think outside of it. It's not the work that's troubling to us. It's the corporations that are running the work. That's where the problem lies. Because they're the ones that are really in charge around here. They're the ones that dictate how our lives go. Not just in how we work, not just in how we earn, but also what we have to spend to survive. They really are in control of pretty much every aspect of our life. But we'd rather bicker with each other than say, hey, how about you guys start acting right? No, we just want to point the fingers at each other down here. This is why they're winning, folks. This is how they outsmart you. They get you arguing amongst yourselves so you don't think to argue with them. And you know what? It's very effective. It works pretty much every time they try it. All they got to do is piss off one factor enough that they start going after the other faction, so it pisses them off enough, and then you got the two going back and forth. Boom. Instant distraction. Easiest thing in the world to orchestrate. Seriously, think about that. And I know most people won't. Because again, their brain shuts off because that's what they've been told to do. No, you're not allowed to think about that. Like, I literally see people short circuit and shut down. Like, literally. When I bring up certain things. And it's wild that people just... And I don't mean they disagree. I mean, they literally cannot even fathom. Like, they can't wrap their mind around it. And again, that's by design. That's the only way it could happen. So if you want different in your life, make the choice to make your life different. And then do not give up on yourself. Do the work. Do what it takes. Stick by that decision. Nobody else in this world is going to fight for you, so you have to fight for yourself. And when I say nobody else is going to fight for you, I don't mean, that nobody cares. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of heartless people in the world right now, but it's not that nobody cares. It's the fact of what can they do to help. Because again, it's up to you. You can definitely have friends that are supportive and nurturing and help you along the way, friends, family. I'm not saying that doesn't exist, but it's not their responsibility. It's a choice they make. They want to include you in their life. They want to be a part of your life. Some people don't have that. Unfortunately, it looks like more and more, because again, we're dividing ourselves so much by every way we possibly can. And we're driving the wedge so we're getting further and further apart. Divide and conquer. Yeah, let that one sink in. We're definitely divided. Now we're just waiting for the conquer part. It's coming. Pay attention. Anywho, that's enough of a ramble for today. But yeah, that's what, I know it's weird. It went from simple, personal health issues to thinking about that, but that's how my brain works. It just associates with different things. That's a thought for the day. So, keep taking care of yourself. Try and help keep taking care of each other. And I'll see you in the next one.